I am 76 years old, and I have $4.7 million in my bank account. I also have 3 children who haven't spoken to me in over 2 years. If you think those two facts aren't connected, you are about to learn something that took me 5 decades to understand. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why success can be the most dangerous trap of all. Before I tell you this story, this channel exists because people like me have lived long enough to see the truth behind the lies. We tell ourselves when we're young, every week, we share stories that could save you from wasting decades of your life. If that matters to you, hit that subscribe button right now. And if this story helps you see something differently about your own life, please hit the like button to help other people find it. Most importantly, I want you to tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you think you are prioritizing right now that might not actually matter? Your answer might surprise you. Here is what I need to tell you. At 32, I made what I thought was the smartest decision of my life. I turned down a job offer that would have given me more time with my family and took one that promised to make me rich instead. The first job was at a small company, decent pay, reasonable hours, close to home. The second was at a major corporation, better money, longer hours, constant travel. I chose the money. I told myself I was being responsible. I told my wife, Sarah, I was thinking about our future. I told my 3 kids Daddy was working hard so they could have everything they wanted. I was 32 and I already had everything I needed. A wife who loved me, 3 healthy children, a house, enough money to be comfortable, but comfortable wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to matter. I wanted to look around at company parties and know I belonged there. I wanted my name on an office door and a salary that impressed people. What I didn't understand then was that I was trading the most valuable thing I had for something. The new job required me to travel 3 weeks out of every month. I missed my son, Tommy's first baseball game. I missed my daughter, Lisa's school play. I missed my youngest, Kevin, learning to ride his bike. But I was making good money. I was getting promoted. People respected me. I convinced myself the sacrifice was temporary. By the time I was 35, I was earning twice what I made at the old job. By 40, I was making 3 times as much. The house got bigger, the cars got nicer, the vacations got more expensive. And somehow, even though I was giving my family more things, I was giving them less of me. Sarah started going to the kids' events alone. She stopped asking me about my day because she knew I'd just complain. The children stopped running to the door when I came home, because half the time they were already asleep. When I was home, I was tired, stressed, thinking about the next meeting, the next deal, the next promotion. I told myself this was what good fathers do. They sacrifice. They work hard. They provide. I looked at other men who coached their kids' teams or took family camping trips, and I thought they weren't ambitious enough. I thought they were settling for mediocrity while I was building something important. The company kept rewarding me for putting work first. Every year brought a bigger bonus, a better title. More recognition. I was the guy who could be counted on to work weekends. I was the one who never said no to overtime. I was the one who chose business trips over family obligations, and I was proud of it. When Tommy was 12, he asked me to teach him to throw a curveball. I told him I would, as soon as I finished a big project at work. That project led to another project, which led to another promotion, which led to more responsibility, which led to less time. Tommy learned to throw that curveball from his uncle, not from me. When Lisa was 14, she made the honor roll for the first time. She was so excited. She wanted to show me her report card, to have me take her out to celebrate. Just the 2 of us. I said we'd do it next weekend. Next weekend I had to fly to Chicago. The weekend after that there was a company retreat. By the time I remembered, she'd stopped caring about showing me her grades. When Kevin was 16, he got his driver's license. He wanted me to come with him for his first solo drive around the neighborhood. I was on a conference call with Tokyo. I held up one finger, mouthed 5 minutes, and went back to my call. The call lasted an hour. When I finished, Kevin was in his room with the door closed. He never asked me to go driving with him again. I was so focused on building wealth that I didn't notice I was becoming poor in every way that actually mattered. By the time I was 50, I was a senior vice president making more money than most people see in a lifetime. I had a corner office, a company car, stock options that were making me genuinely wealthy. I also had a wife who had built her own life around my absence and children who had learned to celebrate their achievements without me. The worst part wasn't that I was missing their lives. The worst part was that I had convinced myself missing their lives was noble. I genuinely believed that working 70 whore weeks was how a man showed love for his family. I thought providing money was the same as providing care. I thought being successful at work meant being successful at life. Sarah tried to talk to me about it. Not nagging, not demanding, just gentle conversations about balance, about priorities, about what we were actually working toward. I dismissed her concerns. I said she didn't understand business, didn't understand how competitive it was, didn't understand that everything I was doing was for them. But the truth was, I didn't understand. I didn't understand that my children would remember the bedtime stories I didn't read, not the college funds I was building. I didn't understand that my wife would remember the conversations we didn't have. I didn't understand that success at work and success at life are completely different things. When I was 55, something happened that should have changed everything. I had a minor heart episode. Nothing serious, but enough to land me in the hospital for 3 days. Lying in that bed, I had what I thought was a moment of clarity. I saw my family around me worried, loving, and I promised myself I would reprioritize. I would start putting them first. That promise lasted about 6 weeks. As soon as I felt better, as soon as work got busy again, I fell right back into the same patterns. The company was going through a merger. There were opportunities for advancement. I convinced myself that if I could just push through this one more busy period, then I'd have the security to step back. There is always one more busy period. There is always one more opportunity. There is always one more opportunity. There is always one more reason to prioritize work today and promise to prioritize family tomorrow. The years kept passing. Tommy graduated high school while I was at a conference in Denver. Lisa got accepted to her dream college while I was closing a deal in Atlanta. Kevin won a state championship in wrestling while I was in meetings that could have been rescheduled but seemed too important at the time. I have pictures from all these events. Sarah made sure someone was there with a camera, but if you look at those pictures, you won't see me in any of them. I was always somewhere else, doing something that felt urgent, but that I can't even remember now. By 60, I had achieved every professional goal I'd ever set. I was wealthy, respected, successful by every measure that matters in business. I was also essentially a stranger to my own family. We lived in the same house, but we lived separate lives. I knew my children's schedules, their schools, their basic information, but I didn't know their dreams, their fears, their real thoughts about anything. When I tried to connect with them, the conversations felt forced, awkward. We didn't have shared experiences to reference. We didn't have inside jokes or family stories that included me in any meaningful way. I was like a friendly acquaintance who happened to pay their bills. The day I retired at 62, I thought everything would change. I thought I'd finally have time to build the relationships I'd been putting off. I thought my family would be excited to have me around more. Instead, I discovered that you can't just flip a switch and suddenly become close to people you've kept at a distance for decades. Me children were polite but distant. They had their own lives, their own relationships, their own ways of handling problems that didn't include me. When they needed advice, they called their mother or their friends. When they had good news to share, I often heard about it secondhand. When they faced challenges, they worked through them without me. I tried to insert myself more into their lives, but it felt intrusive rather than well. They had learned to function without me, and my sudden availability felt more like an imposition than a gift. Sarah was kind, but we had become roommates rather than partners. She had spent 30 years building a life that worked around my absence. She had her own interests, her own friends, her own routines. My retirement disrupted her patterns without offering her anything she actually wanted in return.
The hardest moment came 2 years ago during Tommy's wedding. I was there, of course. I paid for half of it. I walked him down the aisle, because that is what fathers do. But when it came time for the speeches, when people talked about the man Tommy had become, they thanked his uncle for teaching him baseball. They thanked his high school coach for believing in him. They thanked his mother for her wisdom and support. No one thanked me. Not because they were being cruel, but because there wasn't anything specific to thank me for. I had been the provider, the background presence, the man who made things possible financially, but who hadn't actually been present for the moments that shaped my son into the man he became. Sitting at that wedding, watching my son celebrate the most important day of his life surrounded by people who had actually influenced him, I finally understood what I had given up. I had traded being a father for being a paycheck. I had traded being a husband for being a provider. I had traded being present for being successful. The money I had accumulated, the wealth I had built, the success I had achieved, none of it mattered in that moment. What mattered was that my son had become a good man despite my absence, not because of my presence. That night, I tried to talk to Tommy about it. I tried to explain my regrets, to apologize for missing so much of his life. He was kind about it, but his response broke my heart. He said, "Dad, you did what you thought was right. We turned out fine." He wasn't angry. He wasn't bitter. He was just indifferent, and somehow, that was worse than anger would have been. 6 months later, Lisa had her first baby, my first grandchild. I was so excited to finally have a chance to do things right, to be the grandfather I hadn't been able to be as a father. But when I offered to babysit, to help with late-night feedings, to be involved, Lisa politely declined. She said she and her husband had it covered. She said they didn't want to impose on my time. I realized then that my family had learned to see me as someone who was too busy to be relied upon, too important to be bothered with daily life. Even though I was retired, even though I had nothing but time, they still saw me as the man who had always been unavailable. Last Christmas, I suggested we all take a family vacation together. I offered to pay for everything, to plan everything, to make it easy for everyone. The kids made excuses. They had other plans. They had commitments. They'd love to, but the timing wasn't right. I know they take vacations. I see the pictures on social media. They just don't take them with me. They've learned to make memories without me, and now they prefer it that way. I sit in my big house most days, alone with my bank statements and investment portfolios and all the markers of success I spent decades accumulating. None of it brings me joy. None of it makes me feel proud anymore. It just reminds me of what I gave up to get it. People ask me about retirement, about my plans, about how it feels to be financially secure. I tell them it is wonderful, but that is a lie. The truth is, I would trade every dollar I earned after age 35 for one more year of bedtime stories with my children. I would give up my entire portfolio for the chance to coach one of their sports teams. I would live in a tiny apartment for the rest of my life if I could go back and choose differently. But you can't buy back time. You can't purchase relationships. You can't invest your way into intimacy. The things I should have prioritized, the things that actually matter, those aren't for sale. I am 76 years old now. My health is good. I have everything I need financially. I have a comfortable life by every external measure. I also have profound regret about how I spent the years when it would have mattered most to spend them differently. If you are watching this and you are young enough to make different choices, please listen to me. The promotion will come or it won't, but either way, it won't matter as much as you think it will. The extra money will spend, but the missed moments won't come back. The career achievements will feel empty if you don't have people to share them with who actually know you. Don't make my mistake. Don't convince yourself that working more hours today will buy you better relationships tomorrow. Don't postpone being present for being productive. Don't trade being loved for being successful. Success is important, but it is not the most important thing. Money matters, but it doesn't matter most. Work will always demand more of you, but your family won't ask forever. Choose them while they're still asking. Choose them while there is still time. Choose them before it is too late.